Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the second preseason game of the season takes place Saturday night. Jets-Giants, obviously at MetLife Stadium. A lot to look forward to. Now, at the time of this recording, we actually don't know if these starters are going to be playing or not. Right now, there's a lot of injuries still taking place with this, current Jets team, unfortunately, whether it's Sauce Gardner dealing with the calf, Tyrod Taylor missing the entirety of preseason, Quinnen Williams, they're not rushing Jermaine Johnson back even though he's cleared. Who else? Allen Lazard, 1 to 2 weeks. So you could definitely argue, okay, you know what, because of the amount of injuries, let's just not risk it. We already had the 2 joint practices against the Giants, so we've already seen them. Our first team has gone up against their first team, not only just 1 day, but 2 days. So you definitely have that argument, right? But if you're in the camp where you're like, hey, this team is young, this team is unproven, they're trying to learn new schemes, right? Especially in the case of the offense. The defense is one thing because Steve Wilks has called the defense before. He's been around the block. But Tanner Ingstrand, as far as the NFL level is concerned, he hasn't really called plays. Last Saturday was his first time calling plays at the NFL level. So if you want more chemistry built there, these are free reps, free opportunities to get better, to stack another good day. So I think there's positives with either outcome, but let's just assume for a second that we do see the starters, whether it's for a drive or 2, what have you, because we've actually seen a lot of starters play. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Kyler Murray, Pat Mahomes, like a lot of superstars we've actually seen participate in preseason, which has been a cool, pleasant surprise. But again, let's just assume that these guys are out there. What are the things that I'm most looking forward to seeing, or what am I hoping for? I think first things first, based off of the last 2 practices, or the last 2 joint practices, I really want to see this offensive line bounce back against this talented, ferocious Giants front, right? Abdul Carter, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, all these different guys, right? Brian Burns flying off the edge, just super aggressive players, run stuffers, pass rushers. They got it all, right? The Giants have the potential to be one of the best front sevens in the entire National Football League. And in that first practice, it seemed pretty 50-50. Jets made some plays. They had some negative moments. The Giants made some plays, but also had some negative moments. But that second day, it really felt like the sense from reporters was the Giants won the day. So come Saturday night, how will the Jets offensive line respond? Membu, Olu, again, assuming that these guys are out there. And also, will we see John Simpson? There hasn't really been an injury update regarding Simpson, but if we don't see him, is Myers going to be the starting center and they're going to move Tippmann over to guard again? There has been, I would say, some concern over Tippmann's high snaps. He's had a few rough days in camp, but he's had some impressive days. But it seems like these high snaps are this consistent issue that pops up from time to time. So how will the Jets O-line handle this Giants front? Will they bounce back? That's, to me, I think the biggest maybe storyline coming into the game. Secondly, Justin Fields, right? We saw a very impressive first crack at the bat as Jets quarterback against the Packers in Lambeau against their starters. Could we potentially stack another day? Right? If Fields goes out there, maybe it's 1 drive, maybe it's 2 drives, maybe it's no drives, who knows? But in the event that he does roll out there, can we see some more productivity? Can we see some more success? You take a look at that drive. It was a 10-play, 79-yard drive resulting in a touchdown. We saw Fields deliver passes over the middle of the field. We saw him scamper in for a touchdown, which was really cool, showing off the wheels. But you saw the running game, right? The running game just had a ton of success. And, it would be one thing if we were going up against Packers backups, but that's not the case, right? We went out and handled business against the Packers ones. So against this Giants defense, look, and take your pick on whatever playmaker you want to talk about. Arian Smith, Andrew Beck, right? Does he emerge? Is Saturday night going to be the night that Breece Hall pops off, right? We've seen a little bit of Braylon Allen. We've seen some Donovan Edwards. We've seen some impressive stuff when some of these guys' numbers are being called. But Breece Hall, a little bit of a, I don't want to say a down performance because it's a preseason game, first one albeit, but it definitely feels like a lot of people are excited about Braylon, which is awesome. I think it's a good problem for the Jets to have 2 good backs, and they're deciding between, okay, who should take the bulk of the carries as opposed to not having any, or forcing someone out there that you don't really feel comfortable with. So Yeah, who knows? Is this the week that Brees gets going? Is this the week that he maybe makes a play or two? What about Malachi Corley, right? There's a lot of questions that still remain on the offensive side of the football, specifically when it comes to the playmakers. But again, going back to Fields, I love the position that he's in right now. I seriously cannot wait for the regular season. Like, that week 1 game against the Steelers is going to be nuts, man. Fields going up against his old team. Man, in MetLife Stadium, home opener. It's going to be electric. Absolutely electric. Cannot wait for it. But yeah, hopefully Fields stacks another positive day here. As far as the defense is concerned, it sounds like Russ has had some good days and bad days throughout the course of training camp. Can this Jets first team defense hold this Giants offense, right? Can they neutralize them just like they did Jordan Love and the Packers first team offense last Saturday? I think we saw a lot of really, really impressive takeaways. Some small storylines, some big storylines. I think really for me, the biggest storyline was just how fast the defense was playing as a collective unit. I mean, we saw safeties flying around. Andre Sisco was absolutely massive. Tony Adams made a play in the deep parts of the field. Gardner had a couple pass breakups. You're looking at the defensive line, right? Leonard Taylor coming in, causing that strip sack, resulting in a Jets defensive touchdown when Green Bay was backed up. One of my favorite plays of the entire game. Tufele all over the place. Can we get a similar performance? Not so much with the overall statistics, like production, sacks and stuff, but just how are these guys flying around? We've heard it all camp. And I think it was really cool how last Saturday everyone came out. They made a statement. Hey, yes, we've said we want to be a fast physical team. Now we went out and showed everyone how we want to play. Can we duplicate that this Saturday? I think the answer is yes. Now, in regards to Jackson Dart, someone who looked pretty impressive against the Bills, definitely wasn't perfect. There were a couple moments where you're like, oh, what was going on there? Whether it was like footwork or like a pass being batted down to the line of scrimmage. But overall, like you're walking away from that game as a Giant fan, I would say pretty impressed, all things considered. Had one really, really just a beautiful throw. I believe it was actually for a touchdown, beating the Buffalo Bill corner over the top, putting it exactly where it needed to be. Incredible throw. How does Dart respond? Does he stack another positive day, or maybe does he go backwards in these joint practices with the Jets? One good day, one day where he started off really rocky, and then picked it up as practice continued. But that would be something that, if I'm Brian Daboll, I personally would give Dart a lot of reps. I don't know when we're going to see him in the regular season, but this is someone who I definitely want to see at some point, whether I'm a Giant fan or not. Midway point through the season, towards the tail end, I think it would be important to get Dart some regular season NFL reps. So, in order for that to happen, I want to make sure that guy's ready and good to go and seasoned and experienced to a certain degree. So for me, I think we could expect to see a lot of Jackson Dart on Saturday night. But also, for the Jets, we have a lot of young corners, a lot of young safeties. How do they respond? How do they defend against a first round quarterback that people were comparing to Matt Stafford and Jalen Hurts? So I think this to me is going to be one of those interesting games where from start to, the Jets games, I'm always glued to the TV every snap of every quarter, but I think for both sides, for fans that really aren't Jets or Giants fans, it's going to be one of those interesting games where there's just a lot of really cool key matchups that a lot of people can tune in on, right? These diehard fans of football, this is like a type of game that I feel like can really bring a lot of excitement and a lot of just intriguing matchups and storylines as we enter Saturday. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys. And as always, go Jets.